Hey, welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Christina Kent, and I'm a fine artist based out of San Francisco. And in this video, I'm going to show you a vlog of my experience as an artist in residence at Pouch Cove in Newfoundland. So there's going to be a lot of drawing and painting, lots of inspiration, and just giving you a sense of what it's like to be an artist in residence. I always wondered what it would be like to do an artist residency, and honestly, I never thought that I would ever do one, so I just wanted to share what the experience is like with you in case you're curious. And just as a quick note, I'm super excited to share that I recently launched a new portrait painting course on my website. In this course, we take the portrait and we break it down into simple light and shadow shapes. Then we add nuance to create and fully resolve the portrait. So if you want to see the step-by-step, real-time process for my portrait painting, be sure to check that out. So first, let's talk about morning routines. The cool thing about this artist residency, and most artist residencies from my understanding, is that they're pretty flexible. Like, a lot of them are just about giving you a time and a space to create. I loved having my home and my dedicated studio space together and being in this just quiet, peaceful environment where I could fully focus on making my art. That also meant it was up to me to structure my days, and I kept things fairly similar to how I structure my days at home. I started with having coffee, and then I'd go and do my morning pages. It's a practice I got from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and the idea is that you do 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing every morning. I've been basically doing this for the past few years now, and I just feel like it's a really important component to my creativity and artistic growth. I can't fully explain why journaling every morning is so helpful, but something about it just feels great, so I make sure to do it every single morning. I feel like through journaling, I can get a lot of my thoughts and distractions and anxieties out on the page, and it makes it easier to move forward with my day with a clear head. After journaling, I would usually go for a run, which I don't have a video of here, but exercise is so important to me. I think if you want to be creating and making art, it's just so important to have a healthy body, and I feel like it also helps. If your body's healthy, then your mood is good, and it's so much easier to create. So I would go for my run and then come back and do my meditation practice. Meditation in particular helps me understand more about my mind and the state of my mind. I also think the practice of paying close attention to the sensations of my breath helps extend into my daily life of helping me pay close attention to what I'm seeing in the landscape or in the painting that I'm working on. After doing my morning routine, I would usually start to work on paintings in the studio. And this was a bit tricky at first. It's kind of hard to move my studio from San Francisco all the way to Pouch Cove, and I didn't have all the materials that I usually have. I had things that I could fit in my suitcase and a few things that I was able to ship. Thankfully, I was able to ship some large rolled canvas, so I was able to work on some larger paintings using this stretched canvas, and I just unrolled it and stapled it to the wall in the studio. So that was really nice. I also brought a lot of smaller panels too for plein air and for sketching, so I had a variety of surfaces to work on. The first few days of the residency, I arrived and it was pretty foggy and rainy and cold, so I started painting some more foggy landscape views. I was using inspiration from photos that I'd taken back in California, but they sort of captured the vibe that I was feeling in Newfoundland, so fog going through some trees or kind of a foggy, muted ocean. Pouch Cove is a small town and it's very quiet and peaceful, and I found myself really easily just kind of settling in to the quiet, peaceful atmosphere of the location. I missed my friends and family, I missed my life back in San Francisco, but at the same time, I loved being just immersed in my studio and immersed in painting all the time. The environment created in Pouch Cove and at the residency was extremely productive for me, and I actually ended up painting a lot more than I had expected. So thankfully I was able to pick up some additional canvases from Michael's that I could then take the paintings off the stretcher bars and ship them back home once I was done. And I wasn't just working on large studio paintings, I also used the studio for doing small sketches and studies, like the still life. While it was rainy and foggy for a few days of the month, most of the days we actually had really beautiful weather, and that meant that we could do lots of plein air painting. The landscape was incredible. It was lush, full of vibrant green trees and grass. There were giant boulders and this rugged rocky coast, and then of course just the views of the ocean that I found so inspiring. We had great weather and the days were often really long, so that meant that we could do several plein air paintings in one day. At the residency, it wasn't just me. There were 10 artists total, and most of them were painters, so this was also a fun time where we could be social and paint together. Living on the coast of California, I get a lot of opportunities to paint the coast, but the coast of Newfoundland was so different. It was so much greener, and the rocks were different shapes, and you would even just see different colors in the landscape. So it was so fun to be painting the landscape on site and to be absorbing those shapes and colors in person. July was the month when wildflowers were blooming like crazy, and that offered a lot of inspiration as well. There was a whole field of deep violet lupines blooming right outside my studio. And it's hard to capture these flowers in their minute detail, especially for me as someone who likes to paint big shapes, but I had to give it a try. When I wasn't busy plein air painting or painting in the studio, I was basically using all the rest of my time to go hiking and explore the landscape. And oftentimes I would do this with other artists. I think it's definitely the safest to go hiking with other people, and it's really fun too. But I also took the opportunity to go on some long solo hikes as well. Newfoundland has the most incredible trail system on the eastern edge of the island on the Avalon Peninsula, which is where I was staying. And it's called the East Coast Trail, and it's this long trail that just connects the whole eastern coast of the Avalon Peninsula. Like, I think you can hike on this trail just for days and days, and it's just absolutely stunning. The trail takes you on a winding route up and down the rocky coast, past gulches and through coves, and up onto incredible vistas. A lot of the trail takes you through these lush green forests that were just so different from the forests in California. I mean, there are, lots of trees here as well, but I felt like the forests in Newfoundland were so much greener and more lush, and oftentimes you'd be hiking past streams or waterfalls, and something about that just felt really calming and nourishing. I think spending time in nature is so important to my artistic practice, not just because I get inspired by the landscape and inspired by nature, but also because I just feel like it's important for my mental health. In modern life, I am so stimulated by social media, by the internet, by so many things in our modern culture, and when I go out into nature, I just feel like my brain slows down a little bit, and everything becomes quiet, and everything becomes a little slower and a little more peaceful. And the point of these hikes is not necessarily to make a work of art, but I do like to bring my sketchbook just in case, and of course every once in a while I'll find something that inspires me that I want to sketch. I really wanted to do some sketches within the forest of the shapes of the trees, but unfortunately the forests themselves were often full of mosquitoes, so I couldn't stop for more than a couple seconds. So instead I limited my sketching to the parts of the coast where I was protected by the crisp ocean air. I'm also not a morning person, and most of the time I woke up pretty late in the day, but one morning I decided to get up early and go out for a hike right after dawn, and I was rewarded by seeing the landscape completely covered in morning dew, and all of the plants were just glittering and sort of glowing with this dew. Hiking in the morning also brought me some fantastic views of the cliffs shrouded in a layer of fog. Although I spent the vast majority of my time either painting or out enjoying the nature, I did want to check out the capital city of St. John's, which is close to Pouch Cove. I headed over with a few other artists from the residency, and we got some food in town and then went out to explore. We checked out this print shop, which was really cool and had a lot of local artists working there and making lithograph prints. I'd never seen a print shop before, and especially never seen a work on a litho stone before, so that was really cool. My favorite part of Newfoundland was the nature, but I have to say that the city of St. John's is super cute. There are a bunch of these old-style houses that are painted in bright, colorful colors, and it just gives the city such charm. We also stopped by the Christina Parker Gallery in St. John's to check out work by some great Newfoundland artists. In the last week of my residency, I planned not to do too much painting. I was partially worried that the paintings that I did wouldn't dry in time, even if I was using some fast-drying medium, but also more importantly, I had invited my partner to come visit for the last week, and we wanted to do some sightseeing. We drove across the Avalon Peninsula to the Bonavista Peninsula, where we could get some different views of Newfoundland. Bonavista is also known for its puffin colony, so we got to stop by and see some super cute puffins. I honestly didn't know what to expect from my residency in Newfoundland. It was so great to get to know some of the other artists in residence, to paint together, and to get inspired by their work. I also loved having the dedicated time and space to create that was somewhat removed from my everyday life in San Francisco. As a full-time fine artist, in my everyday life, I do get a lot of time for painting, but it was something about being in Newfoundland and I guess being in this very secluded space that was very peaceful, that was really conducive to making a lot of paintings. And because I was so close to nature, it was so easy to walk out of my studio and do some plein air painting almost every day. I loved getting to know this new landscape in Newfoundland, which I feel like forced me to use different colors and different styles of painting than what I've used in the past. I also enjoyed exploring different types of mark making, like focusing on using bold brushstrokes to capture the rugged landscape. Now that the residency is over, I'm really excited to see how these insights affect my work going forward. It was an incredible experience, and now, speaking about it from San Francisco, it almost feels like a dream. But I'm so thankful to the Pouch Cove Foundation for inviting me for this residency. And if you're an artist who wants to do an artist residency, I hope this video has encouraged you and maybe inspired you to apply to residencies or even make your own artist residency. Because you don't need to go all the way to Newfoundland to do an artist residency. You just need to find a nice space that's outside of your usual routine and some time to create. Thanks again for watching, and as always, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting these videos and making them happen. If you like my art, if you like my videos, and you want to help me make more, check out my Patreon at the link. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.